Dear learners, welcome to course MSD012 Ecosystem and Natural Resources. Today we shall discuss on SDG7, affordable and clean energy. We have learned about basics of energy, what are different kind of energy, and how we are storing the energy, what are the alternative source of energy, how we have to store in different way. And we know that today it is in the era of achieving sustainable development goal by 2030. We have learned about SDGs in differentiation, especially in course 1 of this postgraduate diploma in sustainability science. When we are studying about energy, let us try to understand what is the global common effort towards the conservation of energy, utilization of energy. In fact, if you look into sustainable development goal, that goal number 7, that talks about affordable and clean energy, with an objective to ensure access to affordable and sustainable energy for all. So, when we learn about the basic of energy, non-renewable energy, and all those things in the last few sessions, so it is the right time to understand, as a student of sustainability science, what is our commitment towards the direction of efficient utilization of energy in one side, in the other side, that our responsibility to others in reaching the energy access. We know that energy security is a very much prerequisite for our socioeconomic development. Access to energy, when we are giving access to energy, it enables people to augment their income and productivity, enhance access to healthcare, water and education, improve their overall well-being. That's right. Goal number 7 of SDG that aim at ensuring universal access to affordable, reliable and efficient energy services by 2030. So we need to expand infrastructure and upgrading technology to provide clean and efficient energy, and which is one of the critical to achieve our goal number 7. When we talk about equitable energy, equitable universal access to affordable, reliable and clean energy, which is a prerequisite for any of the socio-economic development, and especially in India. And if you look into, and very generally, to achieve this goal, 3 important components here. One is universal access to electricity and clean cooking fuel. Second, increasing share of renewable energy in the country's energy mix. And the third, improving energy efficiency endorsed in the national energy policy. Because that has all are linked from bottom, from the top to bottom, means both ways, bottom up approach and top down approach, right? So if you look into the progress of this particular SDG goal 7 globally, that's about ensure access to affordable, reliable, sustainable modern energy for all. It has 5 targets and 6 indicators, right? If we look into those 5 targets, means when we talk about the target number 1 of this goal, it says that by 2030 we should ensure universal access to affordable, reliable and modern energy services. Target number 2 is on by 2030 we have to increase substantially the share of renewable energy in the global energy mix. Target number 3, we should double the global rate of improvement in energy efficiency by 2030. Target number 4 talks about, by 2030 we need to enhance our international cooperation to facilitate access to clean energy research and technology, including renewable energy, energy efficiency, and advance in cleaner fossil fuel technology, and promote investment in energy infrastructure and clean energy technology. Target number 5, it talks about by 2030 we need to expand infrastructure and upgrade technology for supplying modern and sustainable energy services for all in developing countries in particular, and least developed countries, small island developing states, and landlocked developing countries in accordance with their respective program of support. To look into the progress of the target, there are 6 indicators. Of those 6 indicators, a few are proportion of population with access to electricity, primary reliance on clean fuels and technology, renewable energy share in the total final energy consumption, energy intensity measured in terms of primary energy and in gross domestic product, then total renewable energy generating capacity in developing countries, that is in watts per capita. If you look into different progress so far made, and if you look into the report that was published by UN Sustainable Development Goals, we'll see in 2019, I will not look into details of the figures here, because we also discuss a certain part of this goal number 7 in different another session. So when we talk about, when we learn about energy sector, then let us in those reports we can revisit on those reports. In 2019 report, the status what in globally they look into the status. We know that people have access to electricity in most part of the world, but reaching the unserved means there are number of places across the world still they are not, electricity is not reaching, so we need to require. If we look into that, this pandemic has had a negative impact on progress of, when you talk about quality of education, that is SDG goal for, about gender equality, and other like key infrastructure like water and sanitation, then especially industry innovation infrastructure. And looking into today's discussion, especially in affordable and clean energy, it has negative impact, right? And we also learned that when we are progressing, the world is progressing on increasing the electricity and improving energy efficiency. We also know that millions of people throughout the world still lack such kind of access, and we need to facilitate access not only those electricity for, we also need to provide clean cooking fuels and the technology, because as of now the progress is very slow, and in this particularly in this pandemic we realize we are able to understand the real situation, what has happened particularly in this direction, that highlighted there is a need for reliable and affordable electricity, especially in health sectors, or especially in health sciences. When you talk about fighting the COVID, in far remote area, every nook and corner of the world needs to have a health centers. When you talk about health infrastructure and health centers, it will not be possible to run that smoothly, that particular health center, without reliable and affordable electricity. So that's also we learned those lessons in pandemic. And if you if we look into the what exactly the progress, if you look in the global electrification rate, it is ranging from 83% in 2010 to 90% by 2018. Especially in Latin America and Caribbean, Eastern and Southeastern Asia, they maintain strong progress, exceeding 98% access to electricity by 2018. However, if you look into the world scenario, the world deficit was increasingly concentrated in sub-Saharan Africa, as we discussed a few minutes back. Also, where in the sub-Saharan Africa, 548 million person or 52% of the population, they lack access to electricity. When coming to the access to clean cooking fuels and technology, that increased to 26% in 2018 from 60% in 2015 and 56% in 2010. Still, 2.8 approximately 2.8 billion person, they lack such access and relied primarily on inefficient and polluting cooking system. So because of these stagnant rate and rapid population growth in sub-Saharan Africa, number of people without access to clean fuels for cooking is increasing. So that is why we are able to see, we have seen that the concentration of this particularly this sub-Saharan African condition areas, they are not improving in a very fast way because of the socio-economic condition, right? When we look into renewable energy share of total final energy consumption, it gradually increased from 16.3% in 2010 to 17% in 2015, 17.13% in 2017. So much faster growth is still required to meet long-term climate goals. And if we look into global primary energy intensity, the energy use per unit GDP, it is improved by 2.2% annually from 5.2% in 2015 to 5% in 2017, but was still short of 2.7% annual rate recorded to reach target 7.3. So international financial force to developing countries in support of clean and renewable energy is $21.4 billion in 2017, 13% higher than in 2016, and a twofold increase from force that committed in 2010. And if we look into hydropower project reserve, received 46% 27 hydropower project received 46% of 2017 flows, while solar project received 19% and wind energy projects 7%, geothermal by 6%, right? So here you just look into the progress, that is progress of SDGs and regions, especially in SDG7. So you will be able to see region what. You just closely look into that, right? I will leave to you to understand this by looking into this particular this graph, right? Again, then when we have seen there is progress in one side and another side, we have seen some lacuna still exists. So the need is, especially after pandemic, we have learned a number of lessons, and because of that, we need to follow some of the transformation. So if you look into 6 SDG transformation, first transformation is on education, gender inequality. Then second transformation is on health, well-being and demography. And the third transformation is on energy decarbonization and sustainable in industry. Fourth transformation is on sustainable food, land, water and ocean. Fifth transformation is on sustainable cities and communities. And sixth transformation is on digital revolution for sustainable development. So using this sixth major transformation, then we will be able to achieve this leaving no one behind, right? So this is what we have to do. So now let us look into details up on let us look into the third transformation, which is highly related with our energy decarbonization and sustainable industry. So of that 6 major transformation, if you look into transformation 3, it talks about energy decarbonization in sustainable industry. So if you look in the scorecard of the progress of this this particular transformation 3, then it can be identified 3 levels of commitment and actions for achieving climate neutrality by century. As the first level of commitment, more than 100 countries have joined the Climate Ambition Alliance that is about Net Zero 2050 under the leadership of UNFCCC, United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, and other partners. However, in this is not always followed by the adoption of national policies, including ambitious targets and action. The second level of commitment is to integrate the principle of climate neutrality in national laws and policies. So according to the Net Zero Tracker, more than 30 countries have included climate neutrality by 2050 or beyond that 2060 in their laws, and the proposed legislation for a national policy document. So this includes all G20 countries except Australia, India, Indonesia, Mexico, Russia, Turkey, and Saudi Arabia. Brazil and China, they committed to climate neutrality by 2060. And the third level of commitment is the adoption and implementation of policies, regulation, and the investment aligned with achieving climate neutrality by mid-century. So the climate action tracker again, this climate. What is climate action tracker? Because when we look into these 3 3 important levels, we talk about that climate action tracker. This climate action tracker is an independent scientific analysis that tracks governments' climate action and measures it against the globally agreed Paris Climate Agreement. So this climate action tracker, as we call as CAT, tracks 36 countries and European Union, covering around 80% of global emission. So according to its latest update in November 2020, no G20 country is considered yet to have adopted a sufficient mix of policies and actions compatible with achieving the objectives of the Paris Climate Agreement. In fact, if we look into that, only Morocco and Gambia are considered as having adopted adequate policies to meet the Paris objective, that's 1.5 degrees centigrade compatible. And if you look into, according to the climate action tracker, G20 countries continue to provide unconditional fossil fuel subsidies in COVID-19 recovery packages exceeding $50 per capita in 8 of the G20 countries as of April 2021. So there are vivid economics, and the Oxford Recovery Observatory also emphasizes the lack of greenness in most G20 countries recovery packages. You will see here in this figure the status of G20 countries and their commitment, whether they have accepted all the transformation strategies of transformation number 3, energy decarbonization and sustainable industry, and by region also it has also shown in figure, and then by income level also here. So this is the abstract scenario in G20 countries. Please have a quick look into this. Okay. Again, when we look into India's context, we have SDG India Index, and in particular to Goal 7, it measures India's performance towards the goal of affordable and clean energy. To measure that, 2 national level indications have been identified, which capture 1 out of the 5 SDG targets for 2030 outlined under this goal. All these indicators have been selected based on the availability of data at the subnational level and to ensure comparability across states and union territories. There are number one is percentage of household electrified. This particular target corresponds to global SDG target 7.1 that aims to ensure universal access to affordable, reliable, modern energy services. Right. Then the second indicator is percentage of LPG plus PNG connection against number of households, and this particular target is correspond to global SDG target 7.1 that aims to ensure universal access to affordable, reliable, modern energy services. Right. So you will see the justification behind these two important targets and our. Yeah. So if you look into our country's progress in achieving this goal number 7, we are going well, and the reason behind that is, for example, if you look into access to electricity, we have a number of targeted programs like Pradhan Mantri Sahaj Bijli Har Ghar Yojana, Saubhagya Yojana, that aims explicitly at saturating electricity connection in all households. And assistance is also provided through various schemes, such as we have integrated power development scheme, we have Deen Dayal Upadhyaya Gram Jyoti Yojana, and for improving transmission and the distribution network and services. And coming to improving renewable energy, right? National Electricity Policy Plan 2018, it also reinforced the government's commitment to transforming the Indian electricity sector with a target of 275 gigawatt of renewable energy by 2027. In terms of clean cooking fuel, we have National Biogas in the manure management program with an aim of setting up family type biogas plants for providing biogas as clean cooking fuel and a source of lighting. This program also aims at mitigating the drudgery of women in rural India, reduce pressure on forest, improve sanitation, and accentuate social benefit. So, to shift the dependence from traditional and polluting biomass cooking fuels, we have the Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana, which was launched to improve women's health and empower them with asset ownership. In terms of energy efficiency, we have the promulgation of the Environmental Conservation Act in 2001 and the initiation of the National Mission for Enhanced Energy Efficiency in 2008 that have heralded India's long that held concern on energy efficiency. This basically focus on lowering energy intensity and carbon dioxide emission that has also got further institutionalized and by setting up a Bureau of Energy Efficiency. The application of the Energy Conservation Building Code and the voluntary star rating program for building support that gives a transition towards green buildings. Other more initiatives like we have promotion of energy efficiency in micro, small and medium enterprises, capacity building of DISCOMs, development of institutional capacity of states. These are some of the program followed by Government of India to increase energy efficiency. When you talk about how we achieve household electrification, India has shown strong intent performance towards household electrification. We have achieved the target of providing universal access to electricity to almost to every household. If you look into the figure at the end of March 2019, as per the Saubhagya dashboard of the Ministry of Power, nearly 99.99% of households were electrified, with some exception like Chhattisgarh, except Chhattisgarh, other states, most of the states they achieved 100% electrification status, right? And if you look into the clean cooking fuel that we talk about, one of the indicator LPG plus PNG cooperation. By July 2020, there are 2,824 lakh connection of LPG, liquefied petroleum gas, and 72 lakh connection of pipe natural gas, PNG in the country. And in this line, Gujarat leads in the number of PNG connection, while West Bengal has no PNG connection yet, but it will improve. So this is exactly how our country is going well. Because of all these our initiative program and policies, we are able to achieve that energy for all and energy efficiency in very short period of after implementation of sustainable development goals, and especially in the sustainable development goals. If we summarize what we have discussed today, is that we know that a well-established energy system that support all sectors, started from business to medicine and education to agriculture, infrastructure, communication, high technology. Then countries can accelerate the transition to an affordable, reliable and sustainable energy system by investing in renewable energy resources, prioritizing energy efficiency practices and adopting clean energy technologies and infrastructure. At the same time, we know that business can maintain and protect ecosystem to be able to use, and further we need to develop hydropower source of electricity and bioenergy, and commit to sourcing 100% of operational electricity that needs to be from renewable energy. What we can do, as employers or employee, we can reduce the internal demand of transport by prioritizing telecommunication incentive, by less energy intensive modes such as train travel of auto or air travel, carpooling, etc. Or as an investor, we can invest more in sustainable energy service, bringing new technologies to the market quickly from a diverse supply space. At the same time, at the individual level, we can save electricity by plugging appliances into power strip and turning them off completely when not in use, including our computer. We can also use bike, walk, or take public transport to reduce carbon emission. This is what responsibility we can take to achieve sustainable development goal 7. Today we have discussed about the importance of SDG goal 7 and how to achieve it, and what are the drawbacks at some point across the world, and India's achievement, and how India is achieving, and our different policy and program which was important to achieve this program. Thank you very much.